Good morning. My name is James Anderson. I'm the chairman and CEO of Guanajuato Silver. Thanks very much to Red Cloud for inviting us here, and thanks very much. We're very proud to be able to share the podium with really four excellent silver companies, silver stories. David operating in Mexico. The other companies chasing the silver story, chasing silver deposits in different parts of the world. But we're very proud to be able to share the podium with these other great silver companies. I would like to offer a proposition to everyone here this morning, and this just a little bit reflective of some of the comments in Andrew's presentation just a moment ago. It's been said by people who are a lot smarter than me that when an industry is most despised by the people who know it the best, that's generally a bottom. So maybe we can grab hold of that and be a little bit positive this morning regarding valuations for silver and for silver stocks. I would like to have one other little bit of fun. You know, at the end of my presentation, generally, there's a little bit of roll of polite applause. I'd like to change that a little bit. What I'd like to hear are great cheers of enthusiasm. And what I have here is a 1 ounce silver coin made from our silver in Guanajuato that we're producing for the person, and only one of you out there, who will cheer the loudest. I want to feel like a rock star this morning. So at the end of my presentation, you guys know what to do. You guys will know when the presentation is over, and we'll see who wins that coin. We like to call ourselves Mexico's fastest growing silver mining company. And I'm going to show you a graph, a bar chart of our silver equivalent production growth quarter over quarter for the last 3 years. And I think that you will agree that we can live up to that moniker. I do want to talk something again that Andrew touched on at the end of the conversation. So I think everybody in the room understands silver as a store of value. Silver as a medium of exchange, silver as the poor man's gold. But I think what's less known perhaps is the industrial uses of silver and where that goes into the supply-demand curve for silver. Solar energy. You cannot make a photovoltaic cell, you cannot make a solar panel without silver. That area of consumption, that 14% that you see on this graphic, has gone from 0 to 14% of total silver demand over the last 12 or 15 years. Also, as Andrew pointed out, a lot of that is inelastic. This is production that is being demanded by governments in Europe, in China, in the United States, and elsewhere through either excessive tax benefits or out-and-out gifts from government, so that industry and communities can continue the solar story. These are solar parks around the world. It's just 4 of them, but they are measured 8, 10, 17 kilometers across. And this is not something that's going to end anytime soon. Currently, only 4% of electricity on planet Earth is produced by solar panels. That will expand, and that will take that 14% production that we saw in the other slide up to, some estimates show, about 25% in just the next 2 or 3 years. If that is in fact the case, something has to be displaced on the supply chart. So we'll see what that is, but I think that certainly we will see added upward momentum in the price of silver at the right time. We're already in a significant silver deficit year over year. That's well noted, well maintained. How that can continue for very much longer into the future is an open question, I think. And I think the other really important thing about silver is very different than just about every other metal on planet Earth, in that only about 25% of silver production comes from primary silver mines. Everything else comes from base metal mines, gold mines. And I think in a generally recessionary environment that we may be moving into, I think it's going to be unlikely that you're going to see extra mines put online that are really copper, lead, zinc mines with silver byproduct. Therefore, I think, again, we can have a upward momentum in silver, in the silver supply-demand curve. So what have we done about that? How have we become Mexico's fastest growing silver mining company from a standing start just 3 years ago? We've purchased 4 mines, 3 production facilities, starting with El Cubo in Guanajuato. Most of our assets are in and around the city of Guanajuato, so we'll touch on that. But you can see the very fast timeline that we've accomplished this in. And here is the bar chart that I was referring to. These are silver equivalent ounces, quarter over quarter of production. A silver equivalent ounce for us is about 45% silver, about 45% gold, and about 10% zinc and lead. So we're really very much a precious metals company with a focus on silver. You can see in the third quarter a little bit of a number of different things, a number of challenges at all of our mines. Had our silver production dip a little bit. I think we've ironed that out, and we have already announced January production of 330,000 ounces. Extrapolated, that would, over 3 months, that would give us something like 1 million ounces. Obviously, we don't quite know what February and March will look like in terms of numbers, but I think that let me go out on a limb and say I think that we will be approaching our best quarters ever in the quarter that we're in right now. So there is the lovely colonial city of Guanajuato. There were some comments about Mexico, our ability to do business in Mexico. David certainly talked about that. Let me comment on it a little bit as well. The Mexican president, AMLO, is a socialist, and he is no friend of the mining industry. However, what I like to tell my American friends is, well, Joe Biden's a socialist, and he's no friend of the mining industry either. I think that mining and our license to do mining all around the world has challenges. I think, though, that if you look at Avino's ability to get permits necessary to be able to drive production forward, and our ability, of the 4 mines that we've put back into production over the last 3 years, 3 of them were not operating when we took control of them. And yet we've managed to put them all back into production in a very short period of time. We, too, have gotten really what amounts to a 20-year dry stack permit at our El Cubo operation. So the permits are slow. They're challenging. It's not the Old West in Mexico, but we can get permits and we can drive business forward in the mining industry. What you see there is the state of Guanajuato. And then in the inset map, what you'll see there is us controlling about 40% of one of the great silver districts of antiquity. People have been mining silver and gold here for 450 years. I'll show you a couple of those maps. I'm going to go, I'm sensitive of our time here, so I'm going to go east to west and talk about El Cubo, Valenciana, and San Ignacio, and then our other mine, which is not in the Guanajuato area, but is further north in the state of Durango, high up in the Sierra Mountains, called Topia, which is also a long-lived mine. It's been in production for about 70 years. So, El Cubo. The last time that this asset changed hands, Endeavour Silver paid about $200 million for it. We paid $15 million for it. El Cubo spent about Endeavour Silver spent about $35 million building the infrastructure that you see here and the plant that you see. We have excess capacity here of 45,000 tons a month. From the mines themselves at El Cubo, we've got throughput of about 25,000 tons. However, about 6 weeks ago, we put out a news release saying that we had signed an agreement with well, they don't like us to use their name, but with one of the largest silver mining companies in the world that has assets in the area but no production. So we're processing about 10,000 tons a month from their operations. We hope to be able to make another announcement in just the next week or so regarding doing a similar style, I don't like to call it a toll milling agreement, it's more of a profit sharing agreement with a smaller non-public group also in the Guanajuato area. So this will come close to filling up capacity El Cubo, but we still will have excess additional capacity. Here you can see the plant, and certainly in a world of 60% overruns when people are building new mines, in a world of hundreds of millions of dollars that it takes to put a new mine into production, to be able to buy this operation for $15 million, put it back into production for about 5 to 7. We've still got extra capex to spend, and we're still, running really fast to try and do that. But I think you can see that we're doing a reasonable job. These are the mines of El Cubo. It's about 4 kilometers long. At places, there's 27 different levels. In fact, towards the southern part, the bottom part of that image, some of the deepest parts of the mine, we've been dewatering for the last 6 months or so to an area that's really very high grade, and we anticipate being able to begin processing some of that specific higher grade material within just the next several weeks. So let me move on to the other processing facility that we have in the Guanajuato area, which is almost right downtown Guanajuato. It's Valenciana. This is the processing facility. And here you see a long section of the 4 kilometers of perhaps the most productive part of Veta Madre, the mother vein. This is the main principal structure that people have been mining in the Guanajuato area for 450 years. These mines that you see here in front of you were in production, have been in production for 450 years. In the 1700s, these mines were producing about 30% of the whole world's silver. Now, a lot of that super duper high grade is gone, but we continue to have different discoveries, be able to access different parts of the lower areas of this mine. We are in no fear of running out of material anytime soon. This mine is San Ignacio. This has always been a mine without a processing facility. So this is about, in a straight line, 10 kilometers as the road goes, maybe 25 kilometers to the west of Guanajuato. The material here is very good grade. You see that from our resource estimate that was put out last year in September. And we're in the process of upgrading all of the resource estimates. This was really the first one of those. So we take this material and process it at Valenciana. And then we'll go way up north. So whereas we're named Guanajuato, we want to continue to consolidate the district of Guanajuato. We think that there's good business, especially at this time of depressed prices for assets, to be able to expand in Guanajuato. But this mine is a little bit different. This came with the purchase from Great Panther of all of their Mexican operations. It's very high grade. You can see that there on the chart of about a kilo of silver per ton. However, there are challenges. As I mentioned, it's very high up in the Sierra Mountains, very narrow vein mining. However, people have been mining here for 70 years, including the first 40 years of its operation, Peñoles, which today is Mexico's largest mining company, mined here. Some time ago, they decided that perhaps it was a little too small for their portfolio, but we're very, very happy about being able to use this also as a hub and spoke mining operation where we are, with various different agreements, processing additional material from other third-party miners in the area. Here you can see an aerial view, at least, of the processing plant that exists here. Whereas Cubo and Valenciana, are really in very, very good shape. This processing plant needs some work and needs some capex spent on it. It's another of a long list of capex shopping list that we would like to spend, when prices get a little bit better. This slide is helpful if you're looking either online or with a paper copy. What you can see here are sort of color-coded are 4 different mines and 3 different production facilities. I know I'm throwing a lot of names out very, very quickly. This helps to organize the thought process around that. And this slide talks a little bit about these other opportunities for processing material in various other places within the Guanajuato area. Over the last 3 years, I would suggest that our shares have materially outperformed the market. That it has not been true for the last 4 or 5 months. We've had, I know, David, you commented on a large company that has been selling some of your shares moderately aggressively into a thin market. Endeavour Silver ended up owning a large chunk of our shares. They have been in the marketplace. So has Cantor Fitzgerald, who we did a bought deal financing with about 6 months ago. That's not helpful, but that's the way of the market. So I think anybody looking at the stock price and the valuations, I can reasonably say that that there is very, very good value in what you see on the board here right now. Who owns the stock? Fidelity Investments is one of our big shareholders and big supporters out of Boston. Anybody that knows Dan Oliver of Myrmikan, Dan writes excellent commentary about credit bubbles and credit expansions. He's got a fund out of Connecticut. Dan is also on our board of directors and has been invaluable in terms of attracting capital to the company, really since our inception in this jurisdiction over the last 4 years. So that's my presentation. All the CEOs like to talk about all the fantastic people that are, a part of their company. And we too have a great team. 100% of the people who work for us in Mexico are Mexican. And of the 8 people who work for us in our Vancouver head office, 3 of them are Mexican nationals originally as well. Let me just mention Ramon Davila. Ramon is our president and in charge of all Mexican operations. Ramon has, in my estimation, the best CV in Mexican mining. Ramon, once upon a time, owned the La Colorada mine, which he sold to Pan American Silver, and then worked with Ross Beatty at Pan American for 5 years, developing that asset, which I believe to be Pan American's best asset today. Ramon then went on to be one of the founders and chief operating officer of First Majestic. And under his stewardship, brought that company from 4 employees to 4,000 employees, from 0 production to 12 million silver equivalent production per year. Ramon is full-time with us. He and I share a little house in Guanajuato when I'm down there, which is about 40% of my time. He's very much convinced that we have the right assets and the right people to be able to make a mid-size silver mining company in Mexico. And with that, Tim? Questions?